Hello everyone, this is our first exploration video. These exploration videos will go over a key concept that will help you towards working on the project. So in this one, we're going to be going over the tools that are required for this class. These tools will be absolutely required. You probably already are familiar with most of them, if not all of them. If you're using an alternative, please switch to these tools because it will just help me with trying to assist you and with troubleshooting. So for just ease of everybody in the class, let's work with the same tools. The first tool is Visual Studio Code. This is the IDE that we're going to be using, although they recently changed it to say AI Code Editor. This is, so once you download it and install it, it'll look something like this. It comes with a terminal as well. So we're going to be working in the terminal somewhat. So what I would like you to do after you install it, you're going to navigate to somewhere on your system where you're comfortable with for saving and keeping all the files from the class organized. I'm going to make a new folder here called CS494, and then I'm going to open that. You can open it. I think Macs don't really let you do the terminal command code for whatever reason, but you can do open folder here and then navigate to your new folder. I'm just going to do it down here, CS494, and this will open a new code window. Code is the command used by VS Code. So now that I made sure I'm in the correct folder, we'll move on to the next tool. We can close the previous one down. The next one is actually going to be Git. So you need to have the Git command available on your computer. One of the easiest ways to do that is to download the Git client. Windows, Mac. I believe it comes with Linux, and I believe it comes with Mac when you install Xcode. I'm not 100% sure. Windows, you definitely need to install it. You should end up with like git bash, but once the command is installed, it shouldn't matter what terminal you're using it in, including the terminal here, which is actually PowerShell. I should be able to see my Git version here. Git version. So your version doesn't need to align with mine. Not a big deal. If it's newer or older, that's fine. I haven't updated mine for a while. Hopefully this video will last for a little while. So you should just see a version. You shouldn't see command not found. If you see command not found, you have to figure out why that's the case. All right, so we have Git available, and we're actually going to initialize a repository here. So we're going to say Git init, and I'm making sure I'm in my CS494 folder. This is where we're going to be containing all of our work for this class. Your projects, your in-class work, and your exploration work will all be in this folder, in this repository. So git init, get initialized an empty repository, a .git file. And let's go ahead and just make a readme.md. You can put your name. Actually, yeah, that's fine. Dan White's work for CS494. VS Code does have a way to preview. I believe I installed something for that. You can get an extension here for Markdown preview. Enhanced, but I think it actually default comes with that. Yeah, I don't have any of these installed. You don't need it installed. Just click up here and it will open the little preview window so you can see what the Markdown looks like. If we want to make it smaller, we can use a different Markdown command. The MD stands for Markdown. All right, so I have my basic readme.md, obviously not very in-depth, but it will just let me know that I'm able to push correctly. All right, so that's the second tool, Git. We initialized a repository. The third tool is actually GitHub. So GitHub is going to, yeah, you should have a GitHub account. but it's going to allow us to create a repository for this class remotely. So we're going to say new, and we're going to name it CS494. And for this class, you're going to be making it a private repository. So you need to make sure it's a private repository. Don't click add README file because we already have a README file coming. You can describe it, my work for the CS494 class. This repo needs to be private, so please ensure that you have a private repository. So create repository, and once you have your private repository, we can push an existing repository from the command line. We don't need to create a new repository because we just did. We're going to use an existing repository. So I'm going to copy each of these lines over into my terminal over here. First line, get remote at origin. This is connecting our two repositories, our local one to our remote one. Okay. Now this line is actually not needed in our case because the default branch is main. You can see main down here. And the reason why this line is here is because older versions of Git had a different default branch name. So you have to do that, but we don't need that because we already have the main branch. So we don't need to merge the current branch into that. We'll go ahead and run this one. Source respect does not match any. Oh, I think we need a commit here. So let's commit stage changes. Now we can commit from the command line as well. Me. Let's try that. Okay, now it wants me to configure username. User email, this is a very common thing. Get config user.name, Dan White. Get config user.email, Dan.white at osukascades.edu. Okay, commit. Now we're committed. Now let's try pushing. There we go. Okay, so I just forgot to do the commit first. There's a lot of steps to this. But now if I refresh this same page, we'll actually see my README from over here is now over here in the default README, and that's what's been committed. All right, the next thing we need to do is actually add me as a collaborator. So add your teacher as a collaborator. If for some reason in the distant future someone else is teaching this, you'll need to add them as a collaborator. But we just go to Access and click Collaborators, two-factor authentication. And you add a collaborator, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, so you probably have two-factor authentication set up with your GitHub account. You'll need a Duo mobile app. You need that anyway for your OSU account, so I don't anticipate that being too much of a problem. All right, now we're going to add people. And you're going to find me, which is Dan White, OSU Cascades. Now, the reason why it says it can't find anybody here is because that's me, so I can't invite myself. But when you type this in, you should see me. Click Add to Repository, and that will send me an email notifying me that I've been invited as a collaborator, and I will have access to your repository so I can check your work. All right, so that is the next tool. You need to have a GitHub repository linked up on both sides. And the final thing we need is Node.js. So Node.js, it's a JavaScript library or JavaScript. Okay, it's a free open source cross-platform JavaScript runtime environment. It basically lets you run JavaScript on a server. The framework we'll be using for this class, Next.js, requires us to be running on a Node server, as does React, which is the JavaScript library we're using. So we need to download and install this. I have already. Once you have it installed, you should be able to run this command, node-v, and get you the version of Node and npm-v. Both of these commands need to be working. If either of those commands are not working, you're going to have a bad time. So make sure those commands are working, and then you've got all the tools. So remember the tools are Visual Studio Code, Git, GitHub, a private repository on GitHub called CS494 connected to a local Git repository by the same name, and Node.js. And once you have all those tools set up, you're good to go. I think the submission will ask you to include a screenshot of everything working.